Okay, second grade, I'm so happy you are back and ready to continue the mystery adventures of Milo and Jazz. So remember, yesterday we got introduced to a brand new mystery about a diamond necklace in Milo's desk at school. So today we're going to read 3 chapters of our book and find out the next step in this mystery. So, are you nice and cozy? Let's start reading. Chapter 3. Milo couldn't wait to get started. What should we do first? He asked. Stake out my classroom? Wait, what about fingerprints? Pulling the necklace out again, he peered at it. I bet there are fingerprints all over this thing. Yeah, Jazz said. Yours and mine. Oops. Well, the thieves probably wore gloves anyways, he said. Jazz frowned. You know, we can't be sure that these are stolen diamonds. Maybe one of the girls in your class brought them to school. How many girls our age have diamond necklaces? Milo asked. And even if one of the girls did have one, why would she wear it to school? The diamonds could be fake. They don't look fake to me, he said. Well, me neither, Jazz shrugged. But we're not experts. Anyway, we should at least find out if anybody lost a necklace. Milo had to admit that made sense. They divvied up the girls, 5 for him, 6 for her, and headed off in opposite directions. Jazz was the first one back. As Milo jogged up, she told him, No luck here. The closest thing was Brooke. She lost a horse charm off her bracelet. You? He shook his head. And I asked everyone. Well, except Mandy. She was playing Foursquare and she elbowed me out of the way. Jazz laughed. I've never seen Mandy wear jewelry anyway. Just then the bell rang for the end of recess. Milo and Jazz agreed to meet in the school library at the end of the day. When Milo arrived, Jazz wasn't there. He found a free computer and pulled up the latest news about the heist. These robbers are real pros, a police spokesperson said. They studied how the jewelry store operated, they disabled the alarms, and broke the cameras. And only somebody who really knew explosives would have blown that vault without sending the whole store sky high. As he was reading, Jazz rushed in. Sorry I'm late. I stopped to see my old kindergarten teacher. Huh? What for? Well, I was thinking, she said. Kindergartners have all that fancy dress-up stuff. Milo jumped up. You didn't tell her what I found. Jazz shook her head. I said I needed a fake diamond necklace for a costume, but she's sure she hadn't put anything like that in the dress-up box. Milo felt the necklace in his pocket. I still say it's the real thing. We could take it to a jewelry store, Jazz suggested. They could tell. What if it's worth $1 zillion? They'll ask where we got it. They might even think we're the thieves. Jazz bit her lip. Well, maybe we could look online. I bet there's a way to tell real diamonds from fake ones. She reached toward the keyboard and Milo moved over. Just then, a movement outside the window caught his eye. What in the world is he doing? Who? Jazz asked. My teacher, Milo pointed. I just saw him duck behind that tree. I think he's hiding. Hiding? Jazz repeated. Why would he do that? I don't know, but I want to find out. Not waiting to see if Jazz would follow, Milo dashed out of the library and down the hall. Jazz caught up with him as he burst through the exit. Before she could speak, Milo yanked her behind a shrub. At that moment, a black van swung into the parking lot. Mr. Davenport stepped out from behind the tree. Jazz poked Milo. Why are we? Shh, he hissed. Milo peeked around the bush. His teacher was waving with both hands. Not waving exactly, snatching wildly at the air. A secret signal? A black van pulled up. A man leaned out and called, Dynamite Dan! Mr. Davenport dropped his arms and walked toward the van. Come on, Nick. Nobody calls me that these days. It's ancient history. The man laughed. Didn't look so ancient Sunday night. Come on, hop in. As the van roared off, Jazz stood up. Want to tell me why you're spying on your teacher? She waited. Milo, Milo. She looked up at her. Slowly he said, Sunday night. What about it? Jazz demanded. Sunday night was when the jewelry store was robbed. Chapter 4. I can't believe you think your teacher is a jewel thief, Jazz said again. You keep saying that, Milo said. Well, I can't. They had been arguing the whole way home. The less Jazz listened to him, the more certain Milo became. He's been acting weird all day. This morning, he went running to the window, and when I looked out, there was nothing there. Then, later, I saw him crouching on the floor next to my desk. And now, hiding behind a tree. Grown-ups always act funny, Jazz said. My dad dances to the music in the supermarket. But what about what we just heard? Sunday night. Milo, that makes no sense at all. Everybody did something Sunday night, Jazz said. Something to do with being called Dynamite Dan, he pressed. One of the robbers was an expert with explosives. Jazz didn't answer right away. Then she said, suppose Mr. Davenport really is a jewel thief. Wouldn't he want to keep the diamonds? Why would he put them in your desk? Maybe somebody was coming and he had to hide them quick. Or maybe, Milo gulped, do you think he wanted to frame me? Milo, he's your teacher. That could be a cover. You know, Mr. Davenport is new this year. How do we know he's really a teacher at all? Jazz groaned. Well, you can worry about phony teachers. I'm going to find out about phony diamonds. They dropped their backpacks in Milo's front hall and headed straight to the computer. While Milo looked over her shoulder, Jazz typed in, diamond real or fake. She clicked on the first result. It says here that a real diamond can scratch glass. That's the most famous way to tell that a real diamond from a fake. Pulling the necklace from his pocket, Milo glanced around the room. There's the window. Milo, your mom would kill you. Jazz said, anyway, it says that isn't a good test. Some fake diamonds can scratch glass too. So how are we supposed to tell? Jazz scrolled down. We could try the fog test. What's that? Milo asked. You breathe on it. If the diamond gets foggy, like a mirror, it's a fake. But if it's clear, it's real. They bent their heads together over the necklace. Milo took a deep breath in and then let it out. Jazz reeled back. Your breath smells terrible. What did you have for lunch? Jazz, look. The diamonds were sparkling clear. Milo and Jazz stared at each other. They're real, Milo said. Sure looks that way, Jazz agreed. Wow. Just then, they heard a key turning in the front door. Quickly, Milo shoved the necklace in his pocket. His mom came in lugging a load of groceries, her keys in one hand and the day's mail in the other. His little brother Ethan trailed behind, making Darth Vader noises through his nose. Something for you, his mom said, dropping an envelope from the computer. A new lesson from Dash Marlowe. Jazz hung over Milo's shoulder as he tore open the envelope. Dash Marlowe, Secrets of a Super Sleuth. Work backwards. Begin at the beginning, people always say. But for a sleuth, that isn't always good advice. To solve a case, often you have to begin at the end, then work backward to the beginning. Once I worked backward to solve an unusual theft at an amusement park. A teenage girl was waiting in the roller coaster line when suddenly her purse was snatched away by a big brown dog. She chased the dog, but it disappeared into the crowd. The alarm was raised, and a few minutes later, the amusement park staff nabbed the dog as it splashed happily at the bottom of the river rapids ride. But the purse was gone. Luckily, I happened to be on the scene. I asked the people in line which way the dog had come from, and they pointed to the House of Mirrors. From there, I traced the dog's path back to the merry-go-round, the swinging pirate ship, and the tilt-a-whirl. Everyone had seen the big brown dog, but nobody had seen the purse. Then I asked a little boy who had just gotten off the tilt-a-wheel. He told me the dog had come from the snack stand with a slice of pizza hanging from his mouth. I'm hungry, the boy added. I questioned the young man who ran the snack stand. He immediately pulled the missing purse out from behind the counter. When he'd seen the dog running by with it, he held out a slice of pizza, and the dog had dropped the purse. The young man explained that he was planning to turn in the purse as soon as his shift ended. The girl was happy to get her purse back. She rewarded the little boy with a slice of pizza and said he was super cute. She said the dog was super cute too. And the young man at the snack stand? Well, the last I saw, he was helping the girl into a boat for two at the Tunnel of Love. So, we need to work backward, Milo said. That means we should try to figure out everywhere Mr. Davenport has been since Sunday night. Jazz shook her head. But Dash says, I don't think it's Mr. Davenport's movements we need to trace, she said. I think it's the necklace. How are we supposed to do that? Milo asked. It's not like my classroom has security cameras or anything. Jazz didn't answer. Then suddenly, she hopped off her stool and grabbed her jacket. Where are you going? He asked. Back to school. But everybody's gone. Not everybody, Jazz replied. Somebody is still there. And I think that somebody might be able to tell us how the diamonds got into your desk. Okay, chapter 5. Let's see what happens next. The doors of the school were locked. Milo pressed his face through the glass. Inside, the hall was shadowy and dim. Jazz tugged at his sleeve. Come on. He followed her around the building. She peered in each classroom window as she passed. Stopping at one, she rapped it with her knuckles. Mrs. Peach, she rapped again, more loudly. Mrs. Peach. The door to the playground opened. Mop in hand, the custodian leaned out. Hey kids, what's up? Jazz stepped forward. Mrs. Peach, did you find a lost necklace yesterday? Fancy it. Looked like diamonds? Necklace? The custodian frowned. Then her face cleared. Oh, sure, yeah. Stuck it in the desk. Jazz shot Milo a triumphant look. You put that necklace in my desk? He stared at Mrs. Peach. Yours, huh? She shook her mop at him. You kids, you didn't have so much stuff. Maybe you'll learn to take better care of it. But it's not my... Jazz broke in. Do you remember where you found the necklace? Right there on the floor by the desk, Mrs. Peach said. That's why I put it in. Otherwise, it'd go to lost and found. Milo said, you didn't think that was kind of a funny thing to find in a school? A diamond necklace? Mrs. Peach looked at him. Honey, you would not believe the things I find. An empty bottle labeled liquid butt? Jazz wrinkled her nose. That was one of Gordy Fletcher's pranks. It smelled like... I know, Mrs. Peach said. Anyway, I figured the diamonds had to be fake. Who'd bring a real diamond necklace to school? Milo shot Jazz a sideways glance. That was the question. Who would bring diamonds to school? And why? The custodian told him she needed to get back to work. As the door closed behind her, Jazz said, now we know how the necklace got in your desk. But how did it get on the floor? Milo asked. Whoever had it must have dropped it by mistake, Jazz said. Mr. Davenport. Or somebody else. Like who? Milo said. One of the boys in my class? We already asked all the girls. Except for Mandy. They looked at each other. We have to hurry, Milo said. Dad promised to bring Chinese takeout home, and Ethan is an egg roll fan. If Milo wasn't there, his little brother wouldn't leave him anything but drippy broccoli. Mandy's house was only 2 blocks from the school. They found her outside, bouncing a soccer ball from knee to knee. When she saw them, she grinned. Think fast! Whoop! The ball smacked into Milo's stomach. As he doubled over, Mandy said, "Oh, sorry, you okay?" Jazz scooped the ball from the ground and tossed it to Mandy. The other girl trapped it with her foot and flipped it back up to her knees. "Milo found a necklace at school," Jazz said. "Did you lose one?" "Me?" Mandy shook her head. Jazz sighed. "Oh well, I couldn't really picture you in diamonds." The soccer ball dropped to the ground and rolled away. "Diamonds?" Mandy said slowly. "Can I see them?" Jazz turned to Milo. He shrugged. Pulling the necklace from his pocket, he dangled it on his fingers. "Oh yeah, that's it," Mandy said. "That's what?" Jazz asked. "I did lose it," Mandy explained. "When he gave it to me, I was playing freeze tag. I stuck it in my jacket pocket and forgot about it." She shook her head. "I wish he wouldn't do stuff like that. It's embarrassing." Milo and Jazz looked at each other. "Who?" Jazz asked. A pink flush spread across Mandy's cheeks. "Spencer." Okay, we're going to pause right there. We're getting more clues about the necklace. So that means tomorrow we're going to start chapter 6 and figure out the next step in this diamond mystery. So right now, Super Scholars, let's stretch our body, get ourselves ready, and keep going on our awesome work.